Good? Cool. Okay. Questions? Ladies first.
Was it hard to get accepted into the musical college?
For me, it was not. I don't know what other kind of experiences other people have. What I can tell you is the program runs all year long. Each class has an AM and a PM. Where I was in the AM class, it was like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then the PM class was 4 to 8 or something like that. Each of those classes has 12 students in it. Was it hard? I applied and I was accepted within a couple of days. I don't know, I had to write an essay, I had to provide prior work examples, stuff that I was interested in. Really, it was a phone call and reading up on stuff on the internet. I took a good amount of time to research it beforehand, so when I was talking to the counselor, I was able to say, hey, this part about the program seems interesting, what about this part, and have a real conversation with them about it. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but I hope it satisfies your curiosity. Is that good enough? Okay, cool. Sir?
I was going to ask what your favorite DAW was, like Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a very technical question. Is there anyone else in this room who knows what this gentleman just asked me?
Yes. You repeat that?
Okay, cool. So he asked, what is my favorite DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. In common terms, that's a recording program used on the computer. I'm using Logic Pro. The school, the conservatory, when you go there, gives you a computer. In fact, this same computer is what I was issued in school in 2008. It still rocks. They gave us Logic Pro and Pro Tools. I was using Reason 3.0 for years. I still prefer Reason 3.0, even though they're on like Reason 6 or 7. But my favorite, I use Logic all the time. It's good to know a variety of them. And what I say to people is it's like a car, kind of. Any car you pick is going to get you where you're going, typically. Maybe the controls are in slightly different places, but all in all, it's a vehicle. Some have slightly different sounds. I do think the newer programs have a cleaner, more musical tone to them than the older ones from like the beginning of the century. But it's all a matter of what you want to do. One thing I can say is Logic comes with more stuff, like more plugins and software programs to use. And I think it's more geared towards the musician. Pro Tools is like bare bones dry, and you have to buy or acquire all your plugins for that. Both are nearly identical in function, like a car. Does that answer it?
Yes.
Cool. Cool. Sir?
So were you like recording live music, or were you making your own sounds with like synths and different equipment, or like were you recording stuff with like horns and vocals? And how did the recording process go for you?
Okay, so the Quad Killer project was really sort of the beginning of my, that was my entrance into the music recording and production world. At that time, I was using mostly MIDI programming, is what it's called. So I would have a synthesizer within the program, and I would program a sequence of notes and move those notes around and alter parameters such as velocity, tremolo, and density, things of that nature. I've never really been like an actual hands-on synthesizer guy, simply because I work in a computer and you can buy MIDI controllers for like $50 to $300 depending on how cool you want it to be, and just use the computer as a keyboard. So that's mostly what I was doing. When I first started recording, I was using a microphone similar to what you've got back by your percussion. Those are Audacity i5s. I was using a Shure SM58. It's just a dynamic microphone. It's like the world standard for live vocal performance. Being standard, I don't think it's the best. It works. So I was recording some of my vocals with it, although I'm not a singer. So it was like talking things or sampling things. Guitar, I was recording with that microphone up to my amplifier. But when I went to the college, that was when, again, that light bulb really went off and the doors started opening, because there they have millions of dollars in equipment and studio space. It's basically, there's 2 campuses, and there's classrooms and legitimate studio spaces, like rooms that are Some of the rooms are actually built to proper studio spec, where they treat the floor and the walls and everything to perfect acoustic environment. Some of them are rooms like this that they've done better things to make it easier to work within. And that's where we started using actual analog tape. We started recording with bigger, better microphones, using outboard preamps. What you're looking at right here, let me tell you what is this box of awesome stuff. This is basically a surge protector, more or less. This is an outboard preamp. This is a headphone amplifier, and this is my interface. So, microphone signal comes into the preamplifier. This boosts the voltage. We can get even more technical later if you want to. And then from here it goes into the interface. The interface converts it from analog to digital. It goes into the computer through a FireWire cable. Stuff happens. It comes back through the FireWire cable into the interface, which I then route to the headphone amplifier, which I then listen to in some form or fashion. So, I know I went off a little bit farther than you may have asked. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Wait. How did using MIDI live work? I mean, did you ever have any problems with your interface like bugging up on you or something, or did you perform sounds live through your MIDI controller?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably yes to all of those things. Before I went to music school, to the production school, I didn't even have an interface. I was just running the USB MIDI controller into there, and everything was running out of the computer. I was just plugging into the headphone jack. There were things that I was playing guitar and keyboard and a 4-track tape recorder all at the same time. So when I wanted to play guitar, I would leave those notes programmed. When I wanted to play synthesizer, I would leave those unprogrammed and play that live. All sorts of weird stuff happens when you're out somewhere playing live, from physical problems to, for some reason, the file isn't loading right, things of that nature. After I was in school, I started using an interface, and I really didn't have too many problems with that, but I will tell you, as a sound engineer who works in the field a lot, most of my work isn't in some cool studio. I don't have a cool, super legit studio. Most of my work is coming out to where people are performing. Either the orchestra, I'm at their concert hall, or I'll travel to a band's rehearsal space, stuff like that. Every time you go out, something goes wrong. For example, I had a couple problems here I had to work around, but no one knows because I worked around them. And that's just a part of live music performance, especially when you start dealing with technical stuff. Last thing I'll say is I use Mac because I've never had problems with Mac. Like Windows, there's a lot of compatibility stuff. Mac, everything is really pretty seamless. So that's why I stick with Mac and Logic. Any other questions? Okay, let's move forward. Good questions, guys. So, present reality, right? This is what my resume looks like. I also put that, there's a picture with my certifications to impress people of how awesome I am and stuff. And I don't expect you to read this, but basically, a resume should have your name, your contact information. My objective, I have an objective on my resume, to follow through with any project from pre-production to post, yielding the highest quality audio possible regardless of the circumstances. I want to say something that lets people know I'm going to do what I need to do to make this happen. Integrity is a huge thing anywhere in the world, probably the university. So here's my education. I own a small business. You can see Lansky Sound. That's the name of my business. My wife and I co-own it. Professional experience includes multiple symphonies, radio show host and producer, live tracking engineer, board operator, educator, instructor, post-production engineer, Foley artist, theater sound design, theater board operator, production sound recordist for film, producer, mixing, editing, 5.1 surround sound festivals. Just like Mr. Evans said, the Wildwood Festival, Hot Springs Music Festival, our Quarter Jazz Festival. And this summer, I was sponsored by Reuter Labs, Mojave Audio, Shure, and Electro Voice. Electro Voice gave me 4 microphones, and I get to keep those, which is so cool. That's never happened to me before. The reason I'm telling you this is to illustrate something. Number one, if you're interested in recording music, or even as a musician, life can be more difficult if you want to stay in one genre. All I want to play is this kind of music, or all I want to record is this kind of music. that makes it difficult. You don't have the mobility, and you're not going to learn a wider variety of things out there. The universe is huge, guys, right? So being interested in sound and how it works, I wanted to get my feet wet in all of these places, and I wanted to get all this experience. And having this experience now, I can take on any project pretty much. There's nothing I think I can't do. NASA hasn't approached me yet. I don't know what that would be like, but I would so be down to work in outer space. Something to note though is all this stuff, a lot of stuff I didn't get paid for. Like, at this point, I'd say about 50% of it I've been paid for, but all this film stuff, I never got paid for any of this. These were my friends in Los Angeles, and they were doing productions that really needed help. And they're like, well, we can pay you a little bit, but I said, no, don't pay me, put that money towards the project, just because I know how broke they are. And also, I get the experience. Again, you cannot take that knowledge from me, and it's there now. Hey, Lansky, can you record for film? Yeah, dude, I've done it like 5 or 6 times. Moving forward, you get the point. Here's my website, lanskysound.com. You know, it's on the interwebs. This is some of my promotional material. Everyone who sees this ad, girls ask, is she a good singer? Guys ask, can I work with her? I don't know her, she's just a model. It's just a photograph that my designer got. When you have a small business, you need to promote a lot. And also, even when you're a musician trying to get out and get gigs, you have to promote a lot. In the beginning, I'd say you're promoting 75 to 80% of the time and working the remainder. And as you build a name and as you get more skilled, like my resume did, you don't have to promote as much because people know you. And then eventually you get to a point, I feel like I'm finally at a point where 25% of the time I'm promoting and 75% of the time I'm working. So this is Arkansas Symphony performing sometime last season at the